All right, I am out here. Let me see live viewers, comments show up on StreamYard. Hey, okay. So this is new to me. This is my first time doing this. I am your host. Well, I've been trying. I was doing the real thing. I was trying to do the part where, I was learning how to do the StreamYard coming in. Let me see how if I can. Let me see. Okay, so I was trying to learn how to do the StreamYard part where you know where let me see how this works. So I was like trying this out to see what happens, and I'm trying to think this light is too bright. Let me see if I can just bright light. All right, so again, I was trying to learn how to do like the first one. Let me see if I can get. See, the light is too bright, and I think that's rude. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, that's better. I can see me now. So I was trying to learn how to do this in the beginning, right? This is my first time, but I'm gonna shine. Watch how I do this, right? But the first time I started with the ladies in football was last year, right? Because I wanted to talk about ladies in football and I wanted to just bring some folks in. I think a couple of people came and we spoke about it. And it's one lady, she was the coolest lady on the planet. Like, she's an Eagles fan. And she was telling me how she would love to see our team go against each other. I think it was the championship. I'm not sure if it's like the championship or the Super Bowl, whatever, what have you. But nevertheless, um, I'm back on the football NFL train now. It took me a while. I left. I used to, back in the day, I used to know about my 49ers. I've been a 49er faithful since, wow, 1989. Like when I learned, I think when I was in fourth grade. My father taught me about the Niners. He was trying to teach me how to watch football and what is first down, second down, third and fourth, and so forth. What is an interception and all these things. And I ended up learning because at first I wasn't really interested in sports. And then I was like, yeah, I kind of do like sports because people kept saying I can run fast. I got into the sports. And then when it came to football, I'm seeing all these kids when we was in elementary school, all these kids talking about who are their favorite football teams. And I never heard them say anything about San Francisco. Everybody kept saying, I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan. And then there was another kid, he was like, oh, I'm Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm sitting here like, no, what team does San Francisco have? Like, I didn't understand football. I'm a girl. So I didn't understand. And I was upset, and I ain't never heard my brother say anything about the 49ers because I didn't know. So one day I come, like that same day, here I'm bothered by this, right? Because everybody's talking this stuff, talking this messing about, and somebody's an Oakland Raider at the time. And at that time, Oakland was on their way, I think, to LA, and they was going to be there. I think 4 years later, they was like, we ain't doing well in LA. Let's go back to Oakland. So anyway, and it was LA Rams on that time. At that time, it was called the LA Rams. You know what I'm saying? When I was a little girl, it was LA Rams, and then it was also the LA Raiders, and then no, it was Oakland Raiders. And then they became the LA Raiders, and then as I got older, Oakland welcomed them back, and it was Oakland Raiders once again. But as a little girl, I never understood, the part where, well, where's my team at? We live in San Francisco, California. Where's my team? Where's our team? Because I wanted some inclusiveness inside the team. You know what I'm saying? And so I was at my auntie Sammy's house, and my dad came. And every time my father come, he'd come and bring, like stuff, like, like he would go and pick up some things, like maybe a couple of lottery tickets, what have you, and here also bring us some money. So I was upset. I said, Dad, how come we don't have a football team in San Francisco? He said, what? I said, they keep saying I don't have a football team. We don't have a football team in San Francisco. I done lied. I just was making it up just to make my daddy say something. But my father says, who told you that? He says, don't your brother know? My son should know what team we got. I said, he didn't say nothing, Daddy. He said, no, we the San Francisco 49ers. I said, really? So my eyes are lit up like, okay, I like this team now. I don't care we weak. I don't care what it is. I need to understand what the San Francisco 49ers is about. And so my dad said, yeah, we the San Francisco 49ers, you know, and he said, you know, the mascot is the was actually a 49er, like the, what do you call it? They gold miners. That's what they are. You know, he's like the gold miners. And then he says, you're in the colors at that time, the colors red and gold. I was like, whoa, we got cool colors. That's like Chinese New Year colors. That was like, but that's what it was when I was a little girl. And at that time, I ended up being interested in, wasn't interested in watching the sport, but I was just happy we had a team so I could just talk message that we got the 49ers. And you would hear like someone later on, I found out this one boy, he happens to be my step cousin. I didn't even know that. I just didn't like him because he was just, every time I say something, he always yelling, that's weak, that's weak. Well, anyway, so making a long story short, that part as a little kid, now learned that we had a team which is called the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. So I felt a lot better as a little girl. Now I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care when they came on, how they played, whatever. We just got a team, right? San Francisco's not left out. I think I'm just representing the city more than I was just the football team itself. Then when I got in middle school, and when I was in middle school, my father, now he the one taught me football. He taught me how football works. And when I started getting into it, that's when it became my favorite sport to watch. Now I like baseball. I used to always love to watch the baseball games. And I love baseball because baseball, you sit down and you concentrate on who gonna hit that home run, who gonna steal base, you know what I'm saying, who got a walk. I couldn't stand when one of our favorite hitters was gonna come up and play for the Giants, that someone was gonna walk them. Okay, they chose to not hit. That time, my favorite was Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't want to let them hit that ball. They always want them to just walk. Kevin Mitchell, most likely, they just kept walking Kevin Mitchell. I was mad. But you had Will Clark, and it's another one. The other guy who had to have surgery on his arm, but refused to go to the doctor and get that surgery. And he threw that last strikeout pitch, but then he lost an arm. I mean, goodness, that was just sad to hear that. But shout out to the San Francisco 49ers from the past. I mean, the Giants from the past. San Francisco Giants from the past. But let's talk about the Niners. One day, I started staying with my grandmother. And my father would come, and he had an apartment over in Otis. He had like that one studio apartment, and I was there that one time, and I didn't want to be there because like my dad didn't want to pay no high rent. That man drove the muni bus. He was thrifty, I guess. He was thrifty, I must say. But he would always go and be with grandmama, check on his mama and stuff, and my grandmama, I say, and he would check on his mother and stuff. And sometimes he would stay. She had the biggest living room. She had a big living room, and then she had her big bedroom, and she had a nice sized bathroom. We can all use that bathroom. I mean, and it's a senior citizen place over in San Francisco, but it was a nice size senior citizen place. And we would come over there. Up to 3 people could come over there and spend a night or two. And every time it's time for me to come over, every time it was almost church season, my daddy was a van driver. He would pick up the ladies and take them to church. And I would stay with my grandmother. Now I lived with my grandma. My daddy spoke for my grandmother. She wanted to keep me and make sure I grew up as a good young lady and go to church. And she told me when I got to her house, she says, now you going to finish school and you going to church. You hear me? And I say, yes, my grandmama. And I listened to her. The coolest part about being at my grandmama's house is when my daddy was getting us ready for church. He would come, he'd get up 5:30 in the morning, go to his house, get dressed, what have you, go do what he do. And then he would come back and get us ready, and grandmama would wake up saying, come on, get ready. So I have to go and, get in my shower, what have you, and get ready for church. The coolest part about it is the times when the San Francisco 49ers was going to play for the NFL, will play on a Sunday. And on that Sunday, my father would tell me, after they we go to church, he'd tell me, he says, let me know you ready to go. I'm gonna table time to leave. And here's your watch. He gave me a watch. He bought me a Mickey Mouse watch. That's the coolest Mickey Mouse watch ever. And he says to me, he says, look at the time on that watch. And he says, when the time hits 12, because they finna play at 1:30, I'm gonna get you ready. You put your finger up like you're going to the bathroom at the church. And you go, after you use the restroom, go wait outside. And I'll go to the back and I'll take you back to the house, and you gonna tell me exactly what the score is. And so I was like, okay. So I'm just listening to my dad. So I'm like, cool, I get to sneak out of church and watch the football game, because he didn't want to miss the game. During the time of church, sometimes preachers get to preaching too long. Okay. And sometimes the elders want to have a quick conversation, and it's time for them to go. And, daddy's waiting to go. And, the elders in the church, they have to have their conversation. But make this quick fast forward. Daddy would come home and I will learn exactly what daddy says. Now he says, you just got to watch a game and you going to learn. So I was like, now, the Niners got the ball. So I'm sitting up like, okay, so how you play? I want to know how they play. So when the 49ers have the ball, and the quarterback, before I didn't know what that was. There was one guy that's yelling and hollering, and he has the ball in his hand. So he's the quarterback, and he's calling plays. He's saying this, and I hear hut, hut. And then they move around, and as they move, and he had throw the ball, he had throw the ball because he was in the pocket. And you would hear them say quarter pocket. He backs up, he does. And I was like, okay, all right. So that was cool. Listening to that. And if someone didn't catch the ball, I would hear them say second down. I said, okay. Then they didn't catch the ball. I hear them say third down. Okay. Is that a good sign? Third down. And sometime my daddy have to go and take a group of elders to one of the reverend's homes where they can eat dinner, because it's their turn to have dinner, And my daddy had to be there because he got to take all them ladies home. And at that time, they were strict. They didn't watch the NFL. It was more of, it was all about Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And he would get on Reverend Glaud's phone. I remember that, Reverend Glaud. And he would get on his phone and he would call me and call grandmama's house, and I answered the phone. And I said, hello? He says, what's the score? I said, 3-0. He said, who got 3? I said, SF. He said, San Francisco 49ers. I said, okay. I said, is that good? He said, yeah. He says, they got to score. I want them to score. They got to get 7 points. I said, how they get 7 points? He said, just watch the game. They're going to show you, and I'll tell you more about it later. So he hangs up the phone. So every now and then I said, okay. He calls back in about a half an hour later. Okay, what's the score? 14-3. Who got 14? I said, we got 14 and the other team got 3. The Rams. And I remember when we was playing the Rams, it was cool. Just to learn this, it was 3-14, because I think there was it was 1 touchdown. Yeah, it wasn't 14. It was like more than 14, I guess. But I'm just saying, paraphrasing, because it was a long time ago. But I would tell my dad what the score was, and we were winning, at the score. And that was being said that at that time, I watched football with my father, because at that time, during the football games on the Sundays during church time, there's sometimes it was good. My daddy could come home. Football started at 5 o'clock. My grandmama, she didn't care for sports like that, but I did. My daddy taught me about it, and then she loved baseball though. My grandmother loved some baseball. She'll watch that. But she would not watch. She didn't care to watch the football game. She just grab her Bible or get the newspaper and watch the newspaper and she'll say, it's too violent. I can't watch that. It's too violent. It's not like baseball. Baseball, it's this and that. So anyway, make a long story short, I watched football with my dad for the first time. He was teaching me how the game go. And I became a fanatic then. And one day I said I wanted to go to the game in person. I want to go and be with the crowd and enjoy playing, watch the people play football, the men. And then another thing I liked about the 49ers and about football, NFL in general, is the fact that they had like cheerleaders, like wonderful cheerleaders. And just that quick, and for that short amount of time, I wanted to be a cheerleader. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? So the women get these pretty pom-poms, these red and gold pom-poms, and just shake it around and stuff. That was cool. And now, this fast forward and 5 Super Bowls later, we are here to talk about the Niners. Now, I know that was kind of corny. But in this case, this is going to be my live stream. I want to talk about the Niners now. Just talk about ladies in football. It means a lot of ladies get on here and we can talk about football. I will bring some people on this stage. There's going to be folks that's going to come here. It's going to be ladies that's going to come here. Now, granted, no one's here right now because I did all this at the last minute. I had way too much going on. I had a lot going on as far as starting my business, trying to get my business on track and get it started. And then I had to deal with a lot of things. I got to do mommy things. You know what I'm saying? But after that, I go and I'm ready to talk about football, ladies in football. There's a lot of ladies that I realize that are football fanatics just like me. We love to see the men go out there and put it down. We love to see that. And we like to say and talk about the things that's very, very important. And just to make sure that, there's no misunderstanding. Men are welcome to speak too, right? Men are welcome to speak too. But this is different because, see, I'm going to represent the 49ers in all of my streams because I am down with I'm down all the way. I'm for the Niners, okay? All the way to Niners. But you don't have to be a Niner faithful to come over here and talk about what your team need working on, what are you proud of your team for. But I'm going to tell you, it's all about the Niner game. And if you feel the need to say, okay, well, my team is playing against your team, the Sucker Free City team, you know what I'm saying? May the best team win. Okay, we need to. I'm calling it. I want 7081, and we already know we done clinched the NFC West. Okay, that's plain and simple. But I am going to talk about football. This is my introduction, my real introduction, ladies in football, and this is where women come in and we become fans. Okay, of the men's sport. We become fans. We don't want to be in the men's sport. We just want to talk about who's our favorite player, who's our favorite team. Some of us got sons, like our babies are playing, Pop Warner football and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to be that football mom. I was a track and field mom at first. I had daughters that ran track and stuff, and I was a track and field mom. I could never be a soccer mom. I don't know what it is about soccer moms, but I thought soccer moms were cool, but that's it. I didn't care for soccer. But yes, I want to talk about the NFL. We could talk slightly politics about it. I think that there's some things that shouldn't be touched with the NFL, like There's some things that shouldn't be touching the NFL. Like if you spiking the ball in the end zone, it should be a flag. Come on, that's testosterone. Let the men be men. Another thing, I heard that you can't stand over a player and talk that mess while you knock them on their behinds. I beg to differ. I think the strongest will survive. And if you stand over someone, you ain't got to touch them. You ain't got to threaten their life. You ain't got to do those things. But if you sit there like, got you, sucker, and just walk off, so I don't think it's a problem. I think the one that got knocked on the floor should get back up and say, okay, I got you on this one. You got me on this one, but I'm gonna get you on the next one. Watch. You know what I'm saying? But if that doesn't work, oh well, so be it. There's a few rules that they put out that I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? We most definitely do not need divas. No, we don't do the diva thing. We don't do the diva thing. Not at all. Like, we don't need you, acting all show offy in the middle of the field, waiting for a ball to come down, doing the ball, go straight through your arm, and you fumble the ball, then you get an attitude and cry like a little witch. Don't do that. No, you're a man. Just concentrate, be disciplined, catch that ball. If you think you can run it back, run it back. Do a spin move, something, get us some yards. You know what I'm saying? I don't quite am not comfortable. Well, I'm not used to it. I guess I got to get used to it. I guess when you hold the ball, they give you 30 yards and not 20. 30 yards or 35 yards. I think it's 35 yards and not 20. I just think 20 is better because you got to work your way straight down on the opposite side to that end zone to get to the end zone. I think, changing that kind of rule is not cool. And as far as, safety, that should be 3 points, not 2. I think, that's far-fetched. I mean, I think anyone forces a safety, that should be 3 points. Yeah. The team who forced the safety, I think that'd be cool. Anyway, let me see. Well, let's talk about my team. Let's talk about some folks. Christian McCaffrey is going to play. Like, wow, good looking out. I was wondering, is George Kittle going to play? Mr. Kittle, is he going to play, George Kittle? Somebody let me know on the chat, after the show is over. We got, I'm hearing that we have only 2 wide receivers. Now, let me explain. I'm learning about the new roster. Like I said, back in the day, I used to know all the football players. I knew what they did. I knew what they did last summer. I knew what kind of quarterback we had. I knew the best kicker we had was David Akers. Jake Moody. It's giving favoritisms to me. Not even favoritism. It's giving me favorites. And I said it. This is giving me Jake Moody grew up with my family. His family grew up with my family. We knew each other. We've always said we will stick by each other and help each other's children out or what have you. And Jake Moody just happens to be one of those kids, one of those kids that grew up and needed the help that he needed. And I just think to me, he's not worth being with the Niners. I'm sorry. Like, that's just my thing when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. Like he makes me want to go and look for David Akers and say, hey, come back out of retirement. I don't care if you're 51 years old. Go kick that ball. You still got it, David Akers. You know what I'm saying? What happened to, there was always kickers that was better than Jake Moody. Like, I don't understand that. I just don't. But one can agree to disagree. He shouldn't be with the Niners. I'm sorry. We're trying to go to the Super Bowl. We don't need someone who has feet ADHD, leg ADHD. 1 minute you got the power, and then the rest of the game, your leg is saying, I don't want to kick no more. And you basically trying to force your leg to kick. Your leg don't want to kick. You know what I'm saying? And then we either lose the game or we could have won the game with a larger amount number. And you just not cutting it for me. You've been in this team, what, 3 years? Too long. And I just think Jake Moody should be cut. So that's one. Secondly, who else? I tell you who should not have been cut, and I hope he's on the practice squad. And that's Tariq Owens. I like Tariq Owens. I think he should have just stayed. They should have cut Tariq Owens. See, this is what I mean. Like, I have rather had a Tariq Owens than a cut of Jake Moody any day. Okay, Tariq Owens could have been on a practice squad, or he could have been on the last chance to win us a championship. Like, he got it going on, or he would fill in for someone who's injured, but he's like the dangerous one. Like, yeah, he was ready. Someone got injured, he's ready, right? So I wish he was there. Vasquez, I think his name is Vasquez. Vasquez is back. People celebrated. First they say they let him go, and I was like, no, we need Vasquez, man. What the heck y'all doing? And they brought him back, so he's on the squad, and that's cool. That, just a few things. Then they say they signed someone else that was hardcore, which was like they said was a huge bonus. Somebody none got. I'm gonna find out exactly who they are. I'm gonna know names. Right now I don't know no names. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. You see this hat, you know, my little Afro puff is being covered with this hat because I want everybody to know I represent. That's what I represent. Sucker free. My daughter let me have this hat. You know, I once had a bunch of 49er stuff. I had a 49er outfit. I had a 49er mask. I had made me a Niner mask on top of that, but it was like the coolest mask on the planet. I made me this one mask that covers my whole face. And but I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna make me another Niner mask. I had jerseys. Someone bought me a Kaepernick jersey, and I loved it. They were so sweet, and it fit me so nice and comfy. And so when I was moving back to the Bay Area, a dummy at Life Storage was in training, and by accident he had put my stuff in for auction, and the people who was stuff that's supposed to be in auction didn't go to auction. And for what I heard from a guy named Antoine, his name was Antoine. He was one of the supervisors who was the new hire that understood what just happened because it became a big thing. But Antoine was telling me, you know, they trained him, but he screwed up with the you know, he kind of made a big mistake. There was 4 or 5 people stuff that went to auction, include mine, and we were not the ones that was behind. Like, I was behind 1 month, but you got to be 3 months behind. I was behind 1 month, and they was like, oh, we missing a payment. But this time they didn't even call me. I sent my payment, and the next day it went back to my bank account. So I didn't understand what was going on. And sure enough, they says, oh, you know, you gotta, I was given a, what do you call it? Spam. Someone sent me something that went to spam, and it says, if you don't want your stuff to go to auction, please pay $450 and your current balance. Oh, I had that money, you know, and I didn't even see that until spam. And the people who supposed stuff that was overdue was able to come and get their stuff. Like, they had to let them have their things. But the cold part about it was a rude guy bought my stuff, and he wouldn't sell my things back to me. Like, I had clothes that I sold. I was so proud of myself. I made me some clothes. I even bought me stuff. It took me years to buy things for myself. I never treated myself to anything. I've always taken care of my kids. And now that happened, it's like, wow, this is why you don't see me with the Niner shirt on, my Niner banner. You don't see me with anything, but I got this hat. And it just means it's a candle lit because I'm going to be coming back and we're going to talk this Niner gang situation, right? That being said, I thank y'all. I promise I'm going to do this as a habit. I'm going to have it on time. We're going to talk about the Niners. Once again, I welcome anybody that have something to say about their team. So there's no, we're having fun controversy. That's cool. We're going to have fun controversy. Let's make it work. Let's make it happen. And have a wonderful day. And may the best team win. I'll call it Niners beat the Seattle Seahawks 24-20. Peace.